Hello, welcome to my podcast entitled Health Literacy, Definitions, Measurements, and Pedagogical Approaches. My name is Sarah Jane Greasy, the author and creator of this podcast. For the task at hand, I have selected 2 academic papers of my interest regarding health literacy and will be presenting and analyzing the main arguments for each article as I link them to one another in relation to several concepts in information literacy and teaching pedagogy we have come across in our DMIL course. The first chosen article is entitled Defining and Measuring Health Literacy, How Can We Profit from Other Literacy Domains, co-authored by Frisk, Camerini, Diviani, and Schools, published in 2011. The authors present the different definitions and concepts of the term health literacy HL, identify the tools used to measure health literacy and their potential measurement efficiency, and delve into other literacy domains and their dimensions in relation to HL research. The term health literacy was originally defined as reading, writing, and numeracy skills in the health domain. The concept of HL is now considered as multidimensional despite the lack of consensus regarding its definition. There are several definitions of HL that Frisk et al. Present in their article. The American Medical Association states that it is the reading and writing abilities applied in the healthcare environment. Other national institutes state that it's the ability to obtain, process, and understand health information and services needed to make appropriate health decisions and act in ways that enhance health. And the WHO recognizes the cognitive and social skills of HL. The authors move on to the works of Nutbeam and Schools and Nakamoto, whose concepts and skills are the essence of this article. Nutbeam's 3-tiered concept includes functional health literacy, which is basic reading, writing, and numeracy skills needed for understanding and using health-related information, such as when reading the leaflet of a drug. This could be matched with Karen Egan's conventional model of literacy. Interactive health literacy, which is a set of higher level of cognitive, literacy, and personal skills needed for interaction with a health provider and for interpretation and application regarding health issues. This includes decision-making, goal-setting, and practices to enhance health. This could be matched with Egan's emergent model of literacy. Finally, the critical health literacy is a much more advanced cognitive and social set of skills needed for critical analysis of health-related information to exert greater control over life events. This includes supporting personal, family, and community change that promotes health. This could be matched with Egan's critical model of literacy. The structure is formed of a set of skills ranked in increasing order of cognitive efforts, hence the name per tier. According to Nutbeam, as one advances from one set of HL skills to the other, he or she would have greater autonomy and personal empowerment, and thus promoting better decision-making and health-promoting behavior. As for Schultz and Nakamoto, they also conceptualize health literacy into 3 categories. Declarative knowledge, which is factual knowledge necessary to address a health condition, for example, knowing how to scientifically deal with the common cold. Procedural knowledge, which is knowing how to apply declarative knowledge and health-related information in context. That is, knowing how to apply what you know about the common cold using health information in the process. And finally, judgment skills, which is one's ability to use factual knowledge to judge a new health-related situation, that is, catching a virus that causes the same symptoms as those of the common cold. The last conceptualized approach that the authors include in this section is Jordan et al.'s explorative approach from the patient perspective, which is very much similar to the previous 2 concepts. We can see now that these 3 examples of conceptualization of HL highlight the multidimensionality of HL. This is supported by the fact that there is no one unified definition and measurement of HL. The authors also describe 2 tests as one way to measure HL, both of which are valid in assessing a patient's functional health literacy, as in Nutbeam's, declarative knowledge, Schools and Nakamoto's, behavior and health outcomes. RAL measures word recognition and pronunciation skills, for example, the ability to read a medical brochure. And TOEFL measures reading comprehension and numeracy skills, for example, comprehending the causes of a disease of a pamphlet. However, these two tests are insufficient for measuring what is beyond word recognition, comprehension, and numeracy skills. One way to achieve this is the use of health knowledge tests that are content and context-based, that is, Scholes and Nakamoto's declarative and procedural knowledge. An example of these tests is the brief diabetes knowledge test. A second way to measure the multidimensionality of health literacy is through screening questions, rating confidence and independence in filling out medical forms, for example. However, such a measurement poses the risk of assessing competence rather than HL, thus inhibited from addressing more advanced skills. Finally, Frisk et al. Investigate other literacy domains in order to adopt dimensions included in these domains and understand how HL research can benefit from them. The 7 chosen domains are later combined into 5 groups according to the contextual similarity across the domains. These are civic political, cultural, information, new media, and scientific literacies. Frisk et al. Then identify the dimensions included in the concepts of the different domains and describe HL as multidimensional. These dimensions are as follows: functional literacy, factual knowledge, procedural knowledge, critical, awareness, affective, and attitude dimensions. These 7 dimensions are linked to Christine Bruce's frames of literacy, as shown in the table. The first 3 dimensions appear in all domains. These dimensions combine Nutbeam's conceptual model and Scholes and Nakamoto's distinctive skills and need to be context-specific in order to be assessed. However, attitudes and affective matters are to be considered rather separate than part of HL. Having such a concept of HL promotes the development of a more holistic measure. However, the fact that HL benefits from domains of other literacies does not make one literate in those other literacies. The second article is Considering Children and Health Literacy, a Theoretical Approach by Brskowski, 2009. It includes 4 main parts: a discussion on Freirean literacy, a traditional definition of HL versus Freirean HL, a description of cognitive development theories, and a discussion on the importance of HL among children and adolescents. Freire believes that the real purpose behind education and literacy is to liberate people to achieve their full potential. He believes that the way that today's society views and teaches literacy makes people politically powerless, as rote learning and suppression of critical thinking skills are put into practice. This also applies in health literacy. What I find very interesting is that he says, one is literate when he or she can read the word as well as the world. Higher levels of literacy are achieved by critically decoding events in one's personal and social life. This is similar to Nutbeam's critical HL. Such gradual advancement eventually results in transformation, empowerment, and ownership, where one not can only read but also write the word and world. Brskowski then presents the traditional definition of HL and examines the Freirean view in relation to that definition. The traditional definition of HL is the degree to which individuals have the capacity to obtain, process, and understand basic health information and services needed to make appropriate health decisions. This definition is similar to the ones presented in the first paper. As for the Freirean view, it says that one needs to develop functional, interactive, and interpretive skills, or critical, as Nutbeam puts it. And this all constitutes Nutbeam's concept of HL and Egan's model of literacy. Media literacy is an essential element given how much media is used in health literacy and promotion. This is a connection also made in the dimensions section of the first paper. Poor health literacy and limited general literacy skills are strongly associated with one another, thus making functional health literacy fundamental to HL. In addition, in Freirean terms, the relationship between a health provider and his or her patient needs to be a partnership, where the health provider develops the patient's health awareness through dialogue and allows the patient to have more control over his or her own health and behavior as active participants in decision making. This reminds us of the definition of HL proposed by the WHO, not Beam's concept of health literacy, the interactive HL, and Scholes and Nakamoto's judgment skills of HL in the first paper I discussed. This partnership initially applies to a teacher-learner relationship where the teacher promotes the learner's awareness through communication, reflection, and taking action. The two theorists that the author refers to are Jean Piaget and Lev Vygotsky. The Piagetian theory is a linear course of 4 developmental stages: the sensory-motor stage, where knowledge is acquired; the pre-operational stage, where symbolic thinking is developed; the concrete operational stage, where logic is used actively; and the formal operational stage, where abstract thinking is developed. There are 3 developmental processes central to the Piagetian theory that each individual goes through when exposed to new learning experiences. Accommodation, which is interpreting new sensory information resulting in change in schema and possibly Kuhltau's information anxiety. Assimilation, which is interpreting new sensory information and adding it to one schema without any change in thinking. And equilibration, which is integrating assimilation and accommodation, acknowledging previous or incorrect information and then incorporating new information. As for Vygotsky, he highlighted how social and cultural interactions influence a child's cognitive development and learning experiences, in addition to the zone of proximal development and scaffolding, terminologies that we have covered in our DMIL course. Piaget and Vygotsky's theories, with the help of technology, need to be used to teach and address HL because they ensure the right path of becoming health literate as they guide practitioners, including teachers, when and how children are able to achieve certain levels of HL. Children would then be aware of their learning and involvement, that is, metacognition, Bruce's learning to learn frame of literacy. If this matter is addressed at an early stage, it will in turn develop HL and better health promoting behavior and attitudes, with the proper help and support, familial and otherwise. In a way, Freire is supporting Egan's emergent literacy, which is a child's knowledge of how to read and write before even learning how to do so. This means that the youngest of children are in the process of becoming literate. Moreover, Vygotsky's dynamic assessment should be used to measure intelligence and abilities, even when it comes to health literacy. This assessment, in my opinion, is more holistic, realistic, and practical than realm, TOEFL, and screening tests by measuring assisted performance and adherence to self-management treatment. This type of assessment better reflects how a health provider needs to communicate with the patient and what role the patient should have in managing their own health and illness. This will therefore develop health literacy at the individual and community levels through empowerment and personal and societal changes. After conducting some research on HL, I have come to realize that there is definitely a need to attend to health literacy due to the poor overall health and limited health literacy within the population. To address this matter, we need to reach a unified definition and set of dimensions for HL. Also, not Beam's concept of HL could be considered as a good sum up for both of the tiered models discussed in the first paper. According to the second article, Freire and not Beam share common grounds too when it comes to HL's functional, interactive, and critical dimensions. What really caught my eye in the second paper is how the Freirean perspective in regards to health literacy is combined with the Piagetian and Vygotskian theories of pedagogy, and how this combination could benefit the youngest of children. Both papers focus mainly on one point. The further one develops his or her own health literacy skills, he or she become a better decision maker by making connections between the different resources available in this information landscape, as in concept mapping, and forming their own personal constructs as labeled by George Kelly. This makes one more empowered to be engaged in their own health as they become more health aware, resulting in personal and community changes reflecting Bruce's social impact frame. Thank you for taking the time to listen to my podcast. I hope you enjoyed it and found it informative. Thank you.